Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I couldn't take wearing that jacket. It was way too warm in this library space for continuing doing readings. So I had to change out of my bright, shiny jacket for the New Year, since it's just after the New Year, and put on a bright colored shirt because I would so be like the usual host of the Poetry Open Mic reading space for community poetry, Tom Woodruff, who hosted this open mic reading space in North Austin for years pre-pandemic. It's a shame that it's no longer running, but in honor of that, I am continuing it in its honor. Well, just myself reading. I'm not going to the place that's not having it anymore at Half Price Books. But I thought I'd share with you some poetry that is from the brand new issue of Down the Dirt magazine, the January 2023 issue. I'm just sitting here looking at it like mad. Volume 203. This is The Gravity of Imagination. The Gravity of Imagination. And the first couple poems I'm going to read that are in this book toward the back, because somebody sends me poems about elements, I will follow them up with short ones that are Twitterverse periodic table poems. So a couple of these poems also appear in this Scars Publications book, and some of them even come with images. I'll try to show those to you as well. And I had a whole series in this issue on oxygen. So this first one is a short one, Twitter-length poem called Oxygen Feeds. Watching the fire consume the building, fed by the oxygen in the swirling air, I took a deep breath, inhaled, exhaled. Fire trucks eventually barreled in, pointing tubes of life-giving oxygen with hydrogen, squelching this fire's oxygen consumption. It's in the book, and actually, in this book, they're much larger for all of the images. They take up half the page and they're in bigger type, but I've got a color version of that as well that appears, so I try to zoom in to be able to show it to you guys. This is Oxygen Feeds, and yes, that is a fire truck trying to get cows off of farmland that is on fire in that photo. Just that you know. But anywho, that was Oxygen Feeds, but I'm gonna share with you another oxygen one called Oxygen Save Me. Snorkeling to the white-tipped sharks at the bottom of the Pacific, I lost my breath while oxygen and water surrounded me. Oxygen the wrong way may do me in. Please, give me oxygen up there in the air. Let me breathe it in and set me free. I'm going to see if I can show this in this image. There's actually swimming down into the Pacific two white-tipped sharks. That's actually what you're seeing in this image. As I said, they exist, they're in print, but online you can find them in color, which is cooler. As I said, those were two poems that are not only in the Down the Dirt new book, The Gravity of Imagination, the January 2023 book, but they also happen to be in the Twitterverse periodic table poetry book. So if you want to get your science fix, you can get a bunch of elements, all of them, after they got names and everything, all in this book. But then I was going to share with you a longer one that is in here, and it is just called Oxygen, right here. Oxygen. And not only is it in here, but it's in the original book for the periodic table of poetry, which is actually long poems, the periodic table of poetry, and the Down the Dirt book, The Gravity of Imagination. I would like to share with you this poem called Oxygen. In the South Pacific Ocean, I held my breath, plunged in and swam deeper into the water to get closer to the schools of white-tipped sharks huddled at the bottom of the ocean. With my flippers, I pushed myself deeper into the water. The now useless snorkel was my only reminder of air as I kept going, with only my mask for navigation. Through the moving sand, though the moving sand did not entirely obstruct the water, the sun grew less and less intense the farther I traveled. Just remember to not get too close to the sharks. I had to keep reminding myself. I almost froze when I spotted the stingray. They work so hard to avoid being seen so they can surprise their prey and have their next meal. I spotted it, but it made me stop. It surprised me that I had come this far with nothing but a little water separating me from animals that could seal my fate. I stared for a while, then realized that I needed to get some air. So I turned toward the light. I had been underwater so long that the oxygen was pulled from my muscles and I didn't have the energy to kick. I panicked. When you become acutely aware of your desperate need for air, your body plays tricks on you. I forgot about looking back at the sharks and the stingray below. I even forgot about the sea lions and the lion seals above. I'll deal with whatever's on the surface once I get there. Now, get yourself to kick. Think. You can do this. Push. I managed to kick my legs once and I started to move my way through the water. I hoped I was just hoping that the momentum would keep me going, but nothing was fast enough any longer. You can do this, I thought. Push again. I pushed. I moved, but the surface still seemed so far away. And now I know there's twice as much hydrogen around me as oxygen, but oxygen is so much bigger than hydrogen. Oxygen is the most abundant chemical element by mass in our biosphere. It's in our air, sea, and land. But I can't get to the oxygen in this water. I can't let this be the death of me. My chest started to tighten. My chest started burning like someone lit a match, and the last oxygen in my body was setting my lungs on fire. I clenched my teeth tighter around that snorkel mouthpiece. I knew I couldn't breathe yet, but I couldn't let this piece go free and possibly move my mask while I was trying to save myself. Come on, I thought, your legs are strong. You can do this. So I pushed again until I could see a few people trying to swim toward me. I tried to keep moving until someone threw their arms around my waist. I hoped they would be able to breathe for the both of us until we broke to the surface. I remember feeling wet sand being pushed under my skin as they dragged me out of the water until they let me lay on my side so I could cough. I had no water in me, but I had to do anything I could to give myself oxygen again. Once I was able to breathe comfortably again, I try to think of my breathing. I know I can't get oxygen toxicity by breathing too deeply. Take a deep breath, get the oxygen to my blood. Your toes are tingling. Inhale deeply. Now imagine your oxygenated blood rushing to your feet. The oxygen's to your brain now. Keep thinking, mentally pushing that oxygen throughout your body. When I got back inside that evening, they had started a fire in the fireplace for me. And I thought, how fitting. How fitting. I was stuck in the water with all that hydrogen and oxygen until I could have some oxygen to breathe again. We are over half water as it is, meaning the majority of our mass is oxygen. And there I was, now at a roaring fireplace with oxygen fueling the fire. It's funny how on this one day, a basic element like oxygen could help me go where I've never been before. It could warm me up at the end of the day. It could show me in its absence also how crucial it was absolutely everywhere in my life. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you got that one poem of Oxygen, which appears not only in Down in the Dirt, but also in the periodic table of poetry. This was published in 2015, back before all of the elements had names. So if you'd like to get that, you can check it out and get some interesting poetic takes on a bunch of elements then. Or if you wanted another short one, I think maybe I'll give you one more short poem, a Twitter version, or Twitter length one, because, you know, that's what I'm all about, coming up with short poems, which I did for a contest. You can see it in this book right here, and it also is in the Twitterverse periodic table poetry book. one more that I'm going to share with you for oxygen. I'm on an oxygen high right now. This is oxygen makes superionic ice. Time to super science it up for you. Get ready. Oxygen in ice is cold, but under planetary core pressure, ice is hotter than the sun. Superionic ice means pressure plus heat equals a new state of matter. Liquid, vapor, ice. Oxygen molecules also arrange 20 plus ways. We blast it past diamonds with lasers so that we can learn about other planet cores. Oxygen makes superionic ice. There's a picture of ice from the Southern Ocean that was available on it. It's next to impossible to see. Ooh, superionic ice, I tell you. But they both also exist in both of these books. But I'm going to be done with periodic tables for you right now. Periodic table poems, Twitter length or otherwise. I'm going to pick one at the end of the book to be able to share with you. And this is a heavy one. It's also going to be appearing in the 2023 Saber-Wit book titled Testament. First section is all about women's rights post Roe v. Wade, and the second section of it is all about life and death issues, even about suicide of loved ones and dealing with life. And this is going to be a poem that'll be in section 2 of the book Testament as well. Testament, I tell you. And this is a longer one, but I figure I'll just do one like this and then I will close it out for you. Oh, it's sad. It's called Those Were the Days of Our Lives. Dreams, 8/12/22. I woke up from a dream, pre-dawn. Someone was talking to me and I told them to stop, that I wanted to hear the words in the beginning of this song. This song had an instrumental in the start, but the singer sang something quietly, yet you had to strain to hear it. And then I listened for a moment and then sang along. You have to let me go to the foreign shores. I have to now go to the nevermore. And then I woke up. For a half hour, I was trying to figure out what that song was. Was it by the Smiths, or was it a war song by George Michael? Because I was sure this was a song, which I must have heard before, had to be about going to war. Later, it occurred to me the song was about your wanting to die. And I dreamed this right before your birthday, just before I drive 2 days to say my final farewell. I keep thinking back to seeing my sun god. Like when I brought my husband to meet you for the first time, driving 8 hours to your Halloween party. From the show Dark Angel, I was Max, Jessica Alba, complete with a barcode on my neck. My husband was Logan, in a wheelchair after being shot from saving a woman. I ran the doorbell to your first floor apartment with a 1-inch lip to get in. And when you opened the door, you were so concerned about getting into your place in the wheelchair. So Logan stood up, said, "Oh, don't worry, this is my costume." Did my sun god really think that I wouldn't tell him if my husband was wheelchair bound? And if he was my sun god, shouldn't he have known anyway? Either way, the wheelchair was a fascinating icebreaker, and my husband never had to worry about having a seat in the apartment Halloween party. Or when you flew to visit me, I picked you up from O'Hare Airport. Wanted to take you to a great pizza place near North Chicago, Silo. And yeah, it had a huge silo in front, so even though I had no GPS, I didn't know the address of this technical town that I was in, but I found it. I know you like your southern charm, but I hope you like to change of pace. Or when you had a party on my husband's birthday. he was 40. So we took the 8-hour drive and brought along a few 40-ounce bottles of St. Ides beer because, you know, he was turning 40. So he kept calling it St. Des, and it was a riot. And hey, a ritual's a ritual. Or when you visited my house, trying to figure out what to do. So I say, hey, have you ever seen the movie Dead Man? You said, well, I think so. It wasn't really good. But I was like, wait a minute. Johnny Depp does a great job in this black and white movie. It's like a Twin Peaks Black Lodge session. Iggy Pop's even in this. And so I was bold enough to force you to watch it from a news perspective. And it was great watching it with you. Johnny Depp was Bill Blake, shot after caught sleeping with someone's wife. Then he ran into a Native American who learned his name. You are William Blake? You are a great poet. So this Native American, who went by the name of Nobody, taught him how to shoot a gun to protect himself before he died from his gunshot wounds. Blake was hunted down. One man asked, "Are you William Blake?" To which he replied, "Yes. Do you like my poetry?" Then shot the man dead. We seem to walk that line of life and death and poetry, don't we? Wait, I almost forgot. I think this is when I came to visit you for a Tag Team Poets reading, and you talked about having pot. This was before it was legal in the United States. So one poet friend there said to me, let's go to the garage and have some. I walked in there thinking that we would smoke some, and he pulled out a bong. So, okay, I'll try it. And so I held my breath and then started coughing. And then the poet started laughing and took a hit and started coughing too. And I wondered if he was just coughing to make me feel less apprehensive. But once we went out to the party, my husband could have seen my glassy eyes and all of my apprehension was instantly gone. Those were the days, weren't they? When you did things you wouldn't normally do. But you didn't regret a thing. Better for every experience, big or small. Every venture with my sun god shaped me for what I am today. And yeah, it was worth it. Every minute. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for listening to this fun installment of what would be community poetry in honor of the Tom Woodruff Open Mic on the first Wednesday of every month. Everybody stay safe, stay vaccinated, and stay creative. And I look forward to talking to each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.